everyone, and welcome to the AUGEgirl Network. I'm here with Mark Miotto, director and producer, and Mike Bullman, producer of How to Grow a Band.
Hi everyone.
Hello.
Tell me about your movie, How to Grow a Band.
How do you want to do this? You want to go first, Mike?
Sure, I'll start it out. Well, How to Grow a Band is a film about Chris Thile and the Punch Brothers, who are bluegrass musicians. And I got involved in this project because I was really good friends with one of the musicians, a guy named Gabe Witcher. And we were friends in Southern California, growing up together, playing music together. And I watched Gabe's career develop. And around the time that he met Chris Thile, who was the other sort of main musician in the Punch Brothers, who used to be in the band Nickel Creek, I also met Mark Miotto at college. And so we put those two together right around the time that Chris Thile and Gabe Witcher and Noam Pikelny, Chris Eldridge, and Greg Garrison were forming the Punch Brothers.
So the movie is kind of about the formation of the band, how it all begins. I always think beginnings are very kind of more interesting than endings sometimes, and this movie is kind of about starting something and about chasing your dreams.
Whose idea was it to write the movie, How to Grow a Band?
Well, the movie's not actually written. It's a documentary, but so it's all live action. It all comes from real life. But the idea actually came from Mike.
Yeah, it was my idea originally. As I mentioned, Gabe and I grew up together, and so I'd been following his career for a while. And when I saw Gabe and Chris and the other guys get together for the first time, I saw them play, and I thought, wow, this is something that could really look good on screen. And so I had the idea that we should try to shoot them in a live setting, in a live musical setting. And I asked Mark to come help me out, and we shot one of their shows, which was actually right the day after they came out of the recording studio. And we checked that out. We thought, wow, this is worth spending some time on. And that was back in 2007, October of 2007, and we just premiered the film last night at the Nashville Film Festival, so 3 years later.
How many film festivals have you been in?
Oh wow, well, this is our first one. So we had our world premiere last night. So this is the first time we've done that with this movie, played in front of an audience. It's kind of a treat to do it.
This is 3 questions in one.
Okay.
What is your vision or purpose for making the movie? What is your message to the viewer when the audience walks out of the theater? What do you want them to be thinking about?
Wow, that's a killer three-parter. Well, I think the vision of the film, as I was saying earlier, is to it's sort of about folks who are at a moment in their life when they really feel like they need to bear down and chase their dreams. And that was something that we were always very interested in about this, the risk-taking and the effort that's really required to really go for something. Again, the story is sort of about the founding member of the Punch Brothers is this guy, Chris Thile, who was a platinum-selling recording artist. He had won Grammys as a teenager. His first record came out when he was 12 or 13 years old. So he's been making music since he was a kid.
He started playing the mandolin at age 5. So
at age 5, so
he got started early.
So he's but we sort of catch up with Chris when he is leaving the band that made him famous and starting something new and very experimental. And the movie sort of focuses on this incredible piece of music that Chris wrote. It's a 45-minute long song. For someone who's been coming out of a very commercial environment, I was just impressed from the beginning by their own desire to get involved and do something this risky. So that's kind of the vision of the film, and where we want people to what to be thinking about at the end. I mean, we do sort of take a back seat in that we don't really try to tell you what to think in the movie. A lot of it is sort of up to the viewer to kind of feel what they feel. But personally, I think when people walk away from the film, I'm hoping that they're excited about this band and inspired to look into what these guys are doing more, and inspired to go after their own dreams, whether they're musical or not.
How old were you when you decided this is what I want to do when I grow up?
Well,
Have we grown up yet?
yeah. I remember for a science fair when I was in 4th grade, I made a pinhole camera with a shoebox that I kind of taped up with duct tape, and I turned my dad's erstwhile tool shed into a little dark room. So I started messing around and being into image making at about that age, and like a lot of people, made some goofy films with my friends when I was in junior high and high school. But I never really thought about it as a career until I was in college. That's really when I fell in love with it and knew that was what I wanted to do full time. I think I kind of wanted to be an architect when I was your age.
Yeah, for me, I sort of picked it up for the first time sort of more in the junior high school age, when I remember a couple of summers when I was spending a lot of time at home by myself, and my parents had just gotten a video camera and I wasn't really allowed to touch it yet, but I started playing around with it and more got into it, and made a series of basically movies starring myself as multiple different characters. And that sort of evolved into me, once it was okay for me to use the video camera, and some of my friends started getting video cameras and we started playing around with that, and I got sort of a taste for it then. But throughout high school and college, and even after college, filmmaking wasn't the first thing that I did career-wise, and I actually worked a little bit in the finance industry and did some stuff more in like the business world. And I have only really around this project and one of the other projects that Mark's working on really thought about taking this into the career path.
What helped you make the decision?
Which decision? The decision to get involved with movies? Well, let me see if I can distill this answer. In college, I was doing a lot of reading. I was a philosophy student, and I was very into books. And I still am, but there was something that movies could do that books couldn't do. When you get away from words, when you can just feel things. And I was really drawn to that quality of the film, the way the other sorts of things you can express that are sort of beyond words to talk about. Sometimes I feel like I don't necessarily know how to say what's on my mind, but if you can show people things, it can be more immediate and direct. And that was kind of what really led me into pursuing this seriously as kind of a full-time thing. I just felt I could get to the heart of things a little bit easier with the camera.
For me, I think film is a unique medium for expression because you're combining sight and sound and story all into one in that single experience. And there really isn't any other kind of experience other than by living it, which I think is a lot of what film tries to do. Is documentary film tries to give you the sense of being there. And narrative film gives you the ability to take stories off into a fantastical realm that doesn't exist, or to replicate real life, or to talk about real life in a way that resonates with real experience. And I think film is kind of that unique medium relative to still photography or written word or music on its own. You combine all those in this one special kind of medium. For me, that's really exciting.
Yeah, and this multi-dimensional quality that Mike's talking about, all the different aspects of the movie, I think that's kind of part of what sealed the deal for me with it, was that you can spend a whole lifetime learning. There's always more to learn, and that's a really exciting thing to try to have a career where it takes a whole lifetime to master it.
Do you want to stick with this type of film, or do you want to make others?
Definitely want to make other films. I haven't made a fiction film since college. I've primarily been working on documentaries, and what I love about that is getting to be out in the real world and inhabit a little world that other people live in and spend time in. But but yes, I think somewhere down the road there's probably a fiction movie in there for me or two. I'm actually talking with someone right now about not directing but producing a horror film. So there's another director on board who would do that, and so I like I said earlier, I think just the number of different types of movies, the number of different types of things that are involved in a film, making a film of any kind, it's so vast that as many of those different areas as I get a chance to explore, I'd like to try.
Yeah, and same goes for me. I would absolutely love to try my hand at a narrative fiction film. It's a very different kind of production and a very different kind of process, and I think I'd really like to try and see what that's all about. Where, you know, in documentary, you go out into the world and you film a whole bunch of footage, and then you take it and you go back and you sort of figure out what works, what doesn't work, what did you actually capture, do you have a story, don't you have a story. Where with a narrative film, you know, you have your story up front, you have your script, you know exactly what your actor is going to say, and you know, this scene or that scene. And I think it'd be really interesting to kind of try the process where you start with your story and you, as opposed to finding your story later on.
Who inspired you to be who you are today?
Wow, so many people probably, right? I mean, of course, my family most of all. Very fortunate to have a very supportive family. They were all down here actually. They came down from New York. We're from New York. They all came down for the premiere last night, which was really special to me. I would say them most of all, but certainly my teachers growing up in all the way through college. Really, I think family and school were pretty huge for me.
Yeah, for me, certainly my family had a huge part in shaping my interests and my aspirations. But I think one thing that sticks out one person that sticks out in my mind is one of my best friends growing up. His dad said to me at a pretty young age, I was a teenager, but a young teenager, still kind of trying to figure out what I wanted to do in the world. I remember him saying to me that you're going to be the best at the thing you love the most, because you're going to put all of your energy and all of your soul and all of your effort into that because you care about it the most. And that was something that I really always carried with me. And I think, you know, though I've done a number of things in my life career-wise, that message stuck with me a lot when I first started thinking about making this film, and about having sort of that extra level of passion for something that you really own and you really care about that much more, to spend those extra hours and to go that extra mile. And I think that voice in my head has shaped a lot of what I've done, certainly with this film and over the past few years, and I think it's a good lesson in life.
What is your favorite childhood memory?
Ooh, favorite childhood memory. Wow, putting me on the spot.
That's a tough one.
Can you rephrase? Favorite childhood memory. Gosh, how young should I be for this memory? Like about your age, you think?
Okay, when does childhood end?
Yeah.
18?
18.
Ooh.
What's my favorite childhood memory? Well, I think definitely those times getting together with my friends and making little goofy movies that we were making at that time was super fun. We were I was young enough at that time that my friends were all boys. I didn't have too many friends that were girls when I was that age, so we played all the roles. We played the boy roles and the girl roles, and I actually ended up being the girl most of the time. But that was really fun, just kind of getting together and the same thing that I enjoy about making movies now, kind of getting together and being part of a group that's all trying to do something that's creative and fun.
Yeah, it's a tough question, but I'll keep with the film vibe. And similarly, I remember some of my friends getting together and we would try to reenact big Hollywood films, and we would dress up like, you know, the action star, and we would go borrow our parents' sunglasses and clothes and that sort of thing to try to dress ourselves up to look like, you know, the villain or the hero. And I remember running around my friends' houses with the camera and, reenacting specific lines of movies that we loved. And I'm glad those videos I don't know where they are these days, because I'm sure they'd be very funny to watch, but I really remember those experiences and being kind of excited and just they're really fun memories.
No internet when we were kids, so that stuff is not lasting forever.
That's right. It's in a cardboard box somewhere in an attic, which is where it should stay.
If you could give a child advice today, what piece of advice would you give?
Want to take that first, Mike?
Sure. Well, I think it would be to try to get exposure to as many things as you can when you're a kid. Try to learn as much as you can. In school and outside of school, and try a lot of different activities so you have the opportunity to find something that you really like. And kind of along the lines of what I was saying earlier, when you find that thing that you really like and you know that you're going to put all your energy into it, then go for it as hard as you can.
Yeah, be yourself, know who you are, surround yourself with good people, and try to do something every day that you really like doing.
How are you involved in your community?
So Mike and I are from New York, and gosh, for the last couple of years, I've been so immersed in making this film. But while we've been doing that, I still try to keep in touch with as many. The community that I feel like I'm most a part of is the filmmaking community, which includes people of all ages. So as much as I can to help out and get myself involved with other movies, I always get a huge benefit from that too, because getting to meet people and getting to hear their experiences and learn from them, and maybe they can learn a little bit of something from me too.
Can we come back to that one later?
What's next?
Yeah.
What is your
Think
favorite?
about that one for a second.
What is your favorite charity?
Favorite charity? Well, I always contribute to both the schools that I went to. Even when I was in college and didn't have 2 nickels to rub together, I still supported my high school, which is very important in forming who I am. And so most of the stuff that my favorite charities are definitely education specific, and the ones that I'm most involved with are the high school and colleges that I went to.
Yeah, I also participate in making charitable donations to both the schools that I went to. But there's another group called the Robin Hood Foundation, which operates out of New York, which is dedicated to improving education in lower income areas. And I've been a part of that for a number of years. And I think, again, providing education, providing the opportunity for kids to have as much exposure to as many different walks of life and opportunity as possible is really, that's where you build the future of tomorrow. And so I've been involved with that for a number of years, and it's I think that helps build the future.
What is the best thing you ever did for something else, Mark?
Wow, that's a great question. For me, I think I've found that for myself, I think the best way that I can help other people is through telling stories through documentaries. So whether it's this film, How to Grow a Band, which I hope inspires not just one person, but lots of people, or this other film that I'm working on now, which takes place in the Ecuadorian Amazon jungle, that I really think that you can help people by exposing them to things they haven't thought about or heard about before, and the more you can help inform people about the broader world in which they live, that's what I've decided to do as a way to give back.
What advice would you give for kids who want to get into the filmmaking business?
Oh, I would say just start making stuff. Just get out there and do it. There's no substitute for having a project that you care about and actually trying to really make it from start to finish. However big or small it is, to just start it and finish it. The more you can do that, the more you can get through that process, the more things you'll learn and the better you'll be.
I think that, you know, the filmmaking process is a long one and it's a tough one, and there are lots of different things you've got to think about. But if you have a story to tell, don't forget that there's always going to be someone out there who wants to hear it, and especially if it's your story. And so just stick with it, and you know, the rest will fall into place.
And be nice to people.
Thank you for letting me interview you, and good luck with How to Grow a Band.
Thanks, it's been our pleasure.
It's been a lot of fun. Thanks a lot, Morgan.